for entertainment purposes only. And if you want true legal advice, contact your own lawyer.
Is this real life?
This is Radio Law Talk.
And we are back. Cal, I got the universal someone's on the line signal from you. What do we have?
Well, we have David on the telephone. He has a question about the Epstein matter that I thought you might find interesting. So he's from California and has a question for us. David, good morning. Welcome to Radio Law Talk.
Oh, morning. Hey, are you in the Eastern Zone? It's now afternoon for you, huh?
Yeah, wherever you may be.
Yeah, good. I noticed, I was watching one of the news broadcasts about Epstein, and they were saying that there's no proof through the Security Exchange Commission that he ever had any kind of, was it a Series 7 or a Series 9 brokerage license? And have you, one of the odd comments that came up was that during 9/11, the Security Exchange Commission's office, I think that was in Building 7. So during the dropping of the towers on 9/11, Building 7 fell, and that would have destroyed Jeffrey Epstein's license. You know, that it was held inside.
So proof of that would have gone down with the building, in other words.
Right, and that doesn't make any sense because a federal license like that, you would think that D.C. would have a copy too.
Well, it'd be on microfiche somewhere.
Somewhere or on a hard drive. Well,
Right.
David,
Yes.
yeah, David, thank you. We'll let Denise and Todd ruminate on your good question. Thanks so much for calling.
Thank you very much, David. Yes, that does raise an interesting question. This concept of what happens if we can destroy a record is something that we often heard in the criminal context in my practice. You know, what if I can get the DA's file? Well, in order to make a criminal case go away, you'd have to get the DA's file. You'd have to get the court's file. You'd have to go and get all of the files from the police department, the investigating agency. It's not one thing that's stored in one area. And I would have to assume that the same thing is true, not just whether somebody was able to foresee the tragedy of 9/11, that specific event, you would have to assume that a government agency would be able to foresee something happening to files kept at one location, whether they be corrupt or fire or something, and having backups stored somewhere. Denise, what do you think?
Well, I totally agree with you. There's going to be a backup. There's going to be microfiche in other places, or microfilm, sorry, in other places. And I think that you can't totally destroy it. Even back in 2001, when 9/11 happened, we did have backup capabilities, and we were backing up very habitually our data.
This sounds like a plot out of an old radio show. Well, you know, the sheriff's office burned down, so nobody's getting arrested today. I mean, doesn't it really sound like something that could happen in a truly analog time that is far less likely to happen now?
It's part of the conspiracy theory, too. There is a conspiracy theory out there about Building 7, that it was purposely imploded, because if you see it, it didn't get hit by anything. There was no reason for it to go, and it went down very carefully, very structurally, and it looked like it was imploded. So there is this theory out there. The owner of this building was alleged to be something that the vice president at the time was involved with. It was overinsured. I mean, there's like really all these conspiracy stuff going on, and it sounds like maybe he is connecting Epstein to that part of that conspiracy.
Well, the thing to keep in mind also that is, in addition to government agencies keeping copies of their records of licenses that they have administered, you also have to, in the case of Mr. Epstein, and of all people, you would never want to be on the position of defending him in anything. But I will in this limited case about his license. Mr. Epstein would also have copies of whatever was given to him authorizing him to perform whatever financial services he performed. You know, you get that in the mail. I get a bar card every year from the California State Bar. I got my diploma. I've got all the things that qualify me to do what I do as a lawyer, and arguably he would have those same things given to him. So if everything was lost, heaven forbid, but if everything was gone, assuming there was no microfilm, nothing, you would have to assume that Mr. Epstein still had his documentation of what he was allowed to do. And upon presentation of that, assuming that people were not able to prove that it was fraudulently procured, he'd be able to say, hey, I got a license to do this.
But I think our caller's suggesting that it might have been in Epstein's interest to say, well, yeah, I lost my card, and, the building fell down. I don't know what to tell you. I had a license. I really did.
I do think that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
And we're going to find out a lot about what Epstein says about a fraudulent passport, perhaps. We're going to find out about some other things. And he's just been now indicted, and he has been denied bail, but he's still innocent until proven guilty.
He is.
And we got to keep that in mind as we talk about him, that we need to recognize the fact that we need to presume his innocence.
Charges, allegations, and presumptions. And there's a
Yes.
lot of, because everybody says, well, it's amazing what money can buy you, and it is.
Go to the website, radiolawtalk.com. That's radiolawtalk.com.